Hello friends, welcome to my channel The Storyteller. Grab the popcorn and soda and the story will start in 3, 2, 1. Her family unfortunately abandoned her. But what this little dog did is hard to believe. A bitch protects her puppies from the cold. But it's not just her little ones she's keeping warm. Whoever found them was left speechless. This sweet dog named Malu lives down the street with her cute puppies. In a country in South America called Bolivia. On a cold winter night, the four-legged animal noticed a noise, and what the dog found was not a baby dog, but a human baby. The child was abandoned by the mother, who probably left her for certain death. But the mother dog had a big heart, and her maternal instinct led her to carefully pick up the baby and take him to her shelter, where her own puppies were already waiting. She added the baby to her group and showed her to her new siblings. She also shielded her own cubs and the strange new resident with her own body heat, to keep them from freezing to death. When Malu saw a baby lying there on the street, she knew she had to help. So she did what any good-hearted mother would do and tried to help the vulnerable child. And what she did next was absolutely incredible. Little Tiago was born in the small town of Sacaba, Bolivia, in the winter of 2012. However, his mother abandoned him when he was just 1 month old. Instead of taking him to a local orphanage, she simply left him alone in a park, left to his own devices. The little baby had no way of defending himself at such a young age. He wouldn't even be able to lift his head for more than a moment. So walking or even crawling out of there to look for warmth and safety was something impossible for him to do alone. Of course, all newborns need a lot of food and a lot of sleep to survive. Little ones often sleep for short periods of time and wake up only to eat. Babies always need someone to be tending to their needs, so it's unlikely that Tiago would get the rest and sustenance he needed to survive as long as he remained on the street. To make matters worse, his mother abandoned him at the coldest time of the year in Bolivia. In July, temperatures can drop to 5 degrees Celsius. This meant that, if left alone, the newborn could easily freeze to death. However, Tiago, who was lying in the park, was not completely alone. Most residents of the area knew that a friendly dog lived in the area. The mutt, which locals called Malu, often spent its days roaming the streets in search of food. Above all, it was important that she had enough to eat, as she had a litter of puppies relying on her. It goes without saying, therefore, that Malu's maternal instincts were fully developed. So when she bumped into Tiago on his rounds looking for food, she couldn't leave him there alone. She had to do something, and she chose to do something amazing. Malu returned to find her future litter, but instead of feeding them as usual, she decided to take them on an adventure. She took each one of them, her puppies, and brought them close to Tiago. Once there, she arranged her pups so that together they surrounded the baby. They huddled together to keep each other warm, and thanks to their body heat, little Tiago managed to survive the freezing night. The next morning, a woman who lived nearby, Alessandra Julia, heard a strange noise coming from the alley, something that sounded like a baby crying. So she took it upon herself to investigate. To Alessandra's surprise, the noises were indeed coming from a baby. She had, of course, come across little Tiago abandoned in the street, and when she saw how he and his puppies welcomed him into their fold, she couldn't believe her eyes. However, Alessandra had no choice but to end the lovely scene she had witnessed. After all, she had no idea how long Tiago had been left there, so she hurried to the nearest hospital with the newborn baby so that he could receive medical attention. Once the authorities began investigating Tiago's situation, they discovered that his mother was a 34-year-old woman, and as a result of the abandonment, they seized and removed all 8 children she had in her care. In the face of all this, Malu was hailed as a hero in Bolivia. But this wasn't really the first case of her kind in the country. In 2009, a 15-year-old girl gave birth prematurely to a little girl in a favela near Tupiza. However, the girl panicked and left the baby in a wasteland full of rubbish. But once a dog named Duda by the villagers adopted the baby as one of her own puppies, and once there, she kept him warm and safe and treated him as if he were one of her own. This lasted for some time, until the owner of the land heard the baby crying, and so they discovered that the baby was there. They found him lying with other puppies, covered in a tattered cloth, and although the baby had suffered some minor injuries, there wasn't a single bite mark on him. After finding the nearly 10-pound baby, the dog's owner took him to the neighborhood hospital. Other than a few bruises, the child was fine. As a result, the hospital staff decided to name her Hope, as the baby was born again. When authorities spoke to the baby's young mother, she told them that she was scared to tell her parents about the birth. However, with the support of child and youth protection agencies, she managed to continue her studies and become a mother. As for the dog, she has become a local celebrity in Bolivia. She even won awards for her good deed and for being a shy dog. She didn't like all the attention she got. Eventually, that attention waned and she was eventually left alone to care for her pups in peace. Even if the dogs are no longer celebrities, Malu and Duda's affection will never be forgotten by those who care for them. Thanks to both of them, the babies survived the most dire of circumstances. They certainly proved it once and for all, why dogs are known as man's best friend. After the canine mother gained fame in Bolivia, she and her puppies found a loving new home. In the end, everyone had a happy ending. So did you like our story today? Tell us here in the comments. We are very happy to read the comments of each one of you. Subscribe to the channel if you are new or new here. And I'll stick around, promising to come back in our next video.